Hello YouTube, I'm Nye from Finale Guitar in Sheffield and you're watching Folk Friend, your one-stop shop for Celtic guitar. In today's video I'm going to make a slight deviation from what I normally do. I've had a request from Shane Tully for a song by John Fahey called Sligo River Blues, and so thank you very much for your comment, Shane. Here is your video as requested. I will say this song is really quite complicated because it's different every time through. He basically plays a simple set of chords 6 times through with some very varied twiddles over the top. And they sound deceptively similar, but in fact, on further reflection, I realised that every single time through is a bit different. So we'll start out with the really simple chord stuff and the basic technique for the picking, and then I'll show you a few little tips for how I remember how the sections differ from one another, and hopefully that'll help you to get it all locked in your brain. Before I start this tutorial, I just want to give you a very quick tip on the rhythm. This song is very swung, and what that means is that the quavers in it, or eighth beats for American viewers, are not all equally spaced. It's not like pa 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 pa, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. It's much more funky and rolling than that. So pa 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 pa, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. So I'll just say that this tune is swung. If you want to find out more detail about exactly how you tell if something is swung or straight, then check out my video in the corner of the screen right now, which will go into a lot more detail on the theory behind swing and how exactly that works. So we'll start out with the chords, and the basic chord loop is pretty simple. It's got 3 chords in it. The first one is C major, and you're going to play it like that. Your standard C shape, ring finger on the 3rd fret of the A string, middle finger on the 2nd fret of the D string, and your index finger, keep it nice and curled like that and put it on the 1st fret of the B string, and that way play all the strings except the bottom one and you'll get a nice C major chord. Then we're going to follow that up with F, and the way that we're going to play F is loop the thumb round the back of the neck and use it to push down on the 1st fret of the bottom string, and then we're going to line up our 3 fingers like that. So from the C chord that we had before, the thumb has been added on, and then the middle finger and the ring finger have both moved up 1 string. So now the ring finger's on the D string and the middle finger's on the G string. You can leave the top string open. We're going to be changing that as we go through the song. But if you play it like that, let your thumb gently rest on the A string so that it mutes it. And that will give you an F major 7 chord. For the rest of this video, I'll just be calling this F. The other chord that's in it is a G chord, and for this particular song, the way that you're going to play it is as if you'd started out with your C chord, taken the index finger off, and then just moved the other 2 fingers down a string. So now your ring finger is on the very bottom E string, and your middle finger is on the A string. Again, this is not exactly a G chord. I'm going to call it G throughout though, so if I'm referring to a G, this is what I mean. The next thing then is your finger picking technique for this song. It's pretty cool, the finger picking. What you're going to do, if we start out practicing it on a C chord, for example, your thumb is always going to play on the 4 beats of the bar. Full disclosure, I actually made a heinous mistake on the original version of this video and told you to play the A string and then the G string on the C chord. That is not in fact correct. What you're actually going to start out with is playing your C chord. Your thumb is going to pluck on beats 1 and 3 the A string, and on beats 2 and 4 the D string. So you'll end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Something like that. If you're playing an F chord section, you switch to your F chord like that, and now your thumb is going to do first the bottom E string and then the D string. So like that. If you're on a G section, then you're going to be playing your G like this, and your thumb is going to do first the bottom E string and then the D string, same as the F chord. So something like that. So you can practice going through the song following this set of chords that I've got up in the corner. Practice doing the root notes and changing between the shapes, and just go through the whole thing. So it'll be something like C, 2, 3, 4, C, 2, 3, 4, C, 2, 3, 4, C, 2, 3, 4, and F, 2, 3, 4, F, 2, 3, 4, C, 2, 3, 4, C, 2, 3, 4, F, 2, 3, 4, F, 2, 3, 4, C, 2, 3, 4, C, 2, 3, 4, and G, 2, 3, 4, F, 2, 3, 4, C, 2, 3, 4, C, 2, 3, 4. Like that. And that is the basis for the whole song. Here comes the tricky part. So I'm just going to play for you the first 4 bars of the tune, and then I'll show you the techniques that are used in that and how you can take them and use them to work out the rest of the tab. So here it is. Like that. So we've got a few things going on. Basically the thumb is doing exactly what we were doing before. Sometimes you're going to be playing other notes at the same time as the thumb. And when you're plucking any of the top 3 strings, if it's the top string you're going to use your ring finger, if it's the B string you're going to use your middle finger, and if it's the G string you're going to use your index finger. So far so good. If those notes at the top are being plucked at the same time as one of the bass notes, life is fairly easy. So like the first bar, you've got 3 notes there being plucked at the same time as bass notes, and that is easy. But there's a load of syncopation in this tune, and syncopation is where you deliberately play notes off the beats. So in bar 2, we have a little hammer-on where we start with the bass note from the thumb with the open B string, and then on the off beat there, before the next foot tap, we hammer on the first finger on the first fret. So you can see there my little hammer on there was syncopated because it came in between 2 beats, if you like. If we look at bar 3, we've got the 3rd note in that bar, which is also syncopated. So those 2 at the start are together with bass notes, and then you can see there's a quaver or 8th beat for the Americans, which is the top E string, and that there is halfway between the 2nd and 3rd beats, if you like. So like that. So altogether that 3rd bar goes like that. So getting used to this thing of doing a thumb and then a finger, always making sure you're using the right finger for the top couple of strings, and getting used to doing them either on the beats or between the beats. That is going to be your main technique that you're going to need to master for this song. I'll show you just the next couple of bars, and then we'll move on to how it varies throughout the song, because I'm not going to go individually through it because there's so much to remember, it would be pointless. So here's the next bar. All of these are on the beats. Like that, fairly simple. Let's have a little look at bar 5 where we change to the F chord. So in this bar we've got our bass notes like that, and up the top we've got a load of notes which are all on the beats, and you can tell that they're all on the beats. If you look at the sheet music at the top, you just see crotchets or quarter beats for the Americans. So those are all 1, 2, 3, 4, nice and regular on the beats. Like that. But in bar 6 we have some syncopated ones because we've got quavers. So we've got like that, with the high notes coming in halfway between 2 of the bass notes. So basically, if you master these early sections and you get used to that syncopation technique, you'll find that the later parts are kind of altered repeats of this basic structure from the first part. If you go down to the bottom of the first page of the tab where it says section 2, you'll see basically the same thing is happening that happened before, except that now when the top string is plucked, it's got the little finger added so that it's holding down the 3rd fret. As well as that, because this is obviously quite an organic, folky kind of song, John Fahey has played it actually not exactly the same as the first time he played it. It is slightly different. So it's up to you whether you want to just replicate the first section but add that finger on. If you do that, you will get something that sounds remarkably similar. I doubt anyone would notice the difference, and you'll have a lot less to remember. But if, like me, you are anally retentive and you feel the need to learn everything exactly how it was on the original just to prove that you can, then have a look through section 2 and you'll find that there are some slightly different rhythmic bits. The general chord structure, though, is exactly the same. Section 3 is a really interesting little syncopation exercise in itself. So what you're going to do, if you look at the upper pitched notes just on the top 2 strings throughout this section, it's actually doing the same thing all the way through, and that thing is... Now, I've had a think about trying to explain this, and it's really quite complicated to explain. If you look carefully at the tab, anchor yourself to your bass notes and just work out which notes are happening in between the bass notes. So at the start, you've got your thumb and the B string together. Your hammer-on is halfway between the first 2 beats. Then the second foot tap is going to be the D string and the top E string, like that. Then halfway between that beat and the following one, you're going to pluck the B string. So all together, 1 and 2 and like that. Then you're going to have to hammer on at the same time as playing a bass note. I found myself wanting to pluck that string, but he doesn't pluck it, he hammers on. So just be careful that you're hammering on with your left hand and plucking with your right thumb. So the last little part there is the higher root note and the hammer on together, like that. What you'll find happens is, because that is a little phrase of 3 quavers in length, or 3/8 beats, and your bass notes are doing 4 quavers in length, because 1, 2, 3, 4 quavers. Every 5th time you play the high phrase, that will tally up with the 4th time you play the low phrase. Mathematicians amongst you will be able to work that one out, I'm sure. So it'll sound something like this. And on that 4th one, you do your thumb and your top string together, and there's 1 silent quaver to mark the end of those 2 bars. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And there's my 8th one with the crotchet at the end. Once you get used to that weird syncopated thing, you'll be able to repeat it a suitable number of times, and then you do the same thing over an F chord. And you can also do it over a G chord. Like that. And that is what makes up the whole of section 3. Just at the very end of section 3, there is a slightly peculiar thing, which is that sections 3 and 4 that we're about to come on to are both missing 2 bars of C at the end. So they play 2 bars fewer of C and go straight into the following section. So just watch out for that when you're reading off the tab. Section 4 is more or less exactly the same as section 3, except that every chord has the little finger added on the 3rd fret at the top. So it becomes... something like that. And the F chord the same. Something like that. And the G chord. something like that. So yeah, once you've learnt section 3, section 4 is fairly easy. Section 5 is very much like section 1, however the high notes have been altered slightly. If you want to, you can go through and learn section 5 as a section in its own right, or if you're feeling lazy, just play section 1 again. I doubt very much that anyone will notice. It is more or less the same though, so maybe if you do want to memorise it in full, go and have a look at section 5 and learn that bit. And the very final section is section 6, which is more or less exactly identical to section 3, except that for the very last 2 bars of C to finish off the song, instead of doing what it would normally have done, it does this. Like that. So what you do there, you start on a C chord, then you move your middle finger across one string, so it's on the G string, pluck that, then take that finger off, pluck it again, put that finger back in its normal position and pluck the D string, and with your thumb pluck the A string, and then at the very end you're going to play a C7 for your final chord, jazzier, which is basically a C chord, but you just put your little finger on as well on the 3rd fret of the G string. And that's the last chord of the whole song. There's one other thing that's very slightly different about section 6 as well, which is that it has 4 extra bars of F. So watch out on the tab for those, but the pattern up the top is exactly the same little phrase as has been running all the way through the section. You're just going to add those 4 extra bars of F in. So that's it for this video. I hope this has been helpful to you. Please do me a favour, while you are on my channel, hit the little subscribe button down there, hit the bell next to it to get all my videos straight to your inbox. I release a new tutorial every weekend, Saturday at 12:30 UK time. I also run the Folky Fridays live stream every Friday at 5:30, where you can learn everything you need to know to be a great Celtic backing guitarist. I hope this has been helpful. My name is Nye. You can join us in the Finale Guitar Shop in Sheffield. At the moment we're only on click and collect, but normal times you're very welcome to pop in and say hello, have a browse, look at all the guitars, and if you have got any further song requests or particular tunes you'd like to learn the chords for or anything like that, hit me up in the little comments box down below. I also offer one-on-one lessons over Zoom as well if you'd like to give that a try. So thanks very much for watching. Check out the channel for more videos, and I'll see you all very soon. Cheers guys.